Imagine a world where every decision, big or small, had its full impact understood before it was made. That's the powerful vision Frédéric Bastiat, a brilliant French economist and writer, invites us to consider in his timeless 1850 essay, What is Seen and What is Unseen. Bastiat was a champion of free markets and individual liberty. During a time of significant economic and political change in France, this essay, his last, remains incredibly relevant today because it teaches us a fundamental truth. Every action has both immediate, obvious consequences. What is seen and hidden, often far-reaching consequences. What is unseen. In our fast-paced modern world, where quick fixes and instant gratification often dominate, it's easy to fall into the trap of focusing only on what's immediately visible. But by learning to look beyond the obvious, as Bastiat encourages, we can make smarter, more informed decisions in our personal lives and business and as citizens. This summary will break down Bastiat's core arguments, chapter by chapter, showing you how his insights can be applied to everyday situations, helping you navigate the complexities of modern life with greater clarity. Get ready to unlock a new way of thinking about the world around you. Bastiat structured his essay around a series of compelling examples, each illustrating the crucial difference between a good economist and a bad one. The former considers both the seen and the unseen effects, while the latter only focuses on the visible. We'll explore some of these examples, adapting them to contemporary scenarios to highlight their enduring wisdom. 1. The broken window. Bastiat starts with a simple yet profound anecdote. A boy breaks a shop window. The seen effect is that the glazier gets work, earning 6 francs, and people might even say it stimulates the economy. Think about a natural disaster like a hurricane. The seen is the immediate boost to the construction industry as homes and infrastructure are rebuilt. What's unseen? The money spent on repairs is money that won't be spent elsewhere. If a family spends $10,000 fixing their roof, that's $10,000 they can't use for a family vacation, new appliances, or investing in a small business. While the glazier benefits, the vacation resort, the appliance store, or the small business owner lose out. The overall wealth of the community doesn't increase, it merely shifts. This reminds us that destruction, even if it creates activity in one sector, does not create overall wealth. 2. The dismissal. This section tackles the idea of government spending and employment. The seen effect of maintaining a large army, for example, is that 100,000 soldiers have jobs and their suppliers benefit. Consider a government program that employs many people, say building a new high-speed rail line. The seen is the jobs created, the wages paid, and the bustling activity around the construction sites. What's unseen? The taxes collected to fund this project mean that citizens have less money to spend or invest in their own chosen endeavors. If you pay $1,000 more in taxes for the rail line, you might have to forego buying a new computer or starting a small business, or putting that money into savings. The economy gains jobs in one area, but it loses potential jobs and economic activity in another. Bastiat argues that if the service provided, like national security from the army, isn't truly essential, then the money taken from taxpayers and spent by the government is a useless loss for the nation. 3. Taxes. Bastiat challenges the popular notion that taxes are always beneficial because they make families live and have an impact on industry. The seen is the government official's salary and what they buy, benefiting their suppliers. When a city increases property taxes to fund new public art installations, the seen is the artists employed, the materials purchased, and the vibrant new sculptures or murals. The unseen is that property owners have less disposable income. That extra tax money could have been used by those citizens to buy new clothes, go out to eat, save for their children's education, or invest in local businesses. Just as rain needs a source, taxes dry up the ground from which they spring. The key question Bastiat poses is whether the service provided by the government expenditure is truly worth what it costs the taxpayer. If it's not a truly useful service, it's like giving money to a thief. 4. Public works. Bastiat challenges the idea that public works projects are inherently beneficial simply because they create work for laborers. The seen is the construction of a new road, bridge, or building, and the employment it generates. A city decides to build a new stadium, proclaiming it will create thousands of jobs. The seen are the construction workers, engineers, and suppliers employed. The unseen is the money that taxpayers could have spent on other goods and services, which would have also created jobs in those sectors. Bastiat uses the analogy of a medallion with two sides, one showing an employed worker, what is seen, and the other showing an unemployed worker, what is unseen. The money to build the stadium comes from taxes, which means less money for citizens to buy cars, clothes, or groceries, reducing demand and employment in those industries. Public works can be valuable if they meet a genuine need, but justifying them solely on the basis of creating work is a dangerous fallacy. 5. Middlemen. This section targets socialist arguments against intermediaries like capitalists, bankers, and merchants. The seen is the profit these middlemen earn. Think about online retailers or food delivery services. Critics might argue they exploit both producers and consumers by taking a cut. The seen is the fee you pay for the convenience. The unseen, Bastiat argues, is the value they add by efficiently connecting supply and demand. Without these intermediaries, getting goods from producer to consumer would be far more expensive and inefficient, or even impossible. A farmer selling directly to a consumer might save on a middleman's fee, but they would incur significant costs and effort in transportation, marketing, and distribution. Intermediaries, driven by competition, strive to provide their services as efficiently and cheaply as possible, ultimately benefiting the consumer. Bastiat views society as a grand association where everyone is an intermediary, contributing specialized services for the common good. 6. Restriction here. Bastiat critiques protectionism, using the example of a prohibitor who wants to ban cheaper Belgian iron to boost his own iron sales. The seen is the higher price the prohibitor can charge and the increased activity in his own ironworks. Imagine tariffs on imported solar panels. Seen as that domestic solar panel manufacturers might sell more units and potentially hire more workers. The unseen, however, is the increased cost for consumers who want to install solar panels. If a homeowner has to pay $5,000 more for domestic panels, that's $5,000 they can't spend on other goods or services, like energy-efficient appliances or home renovations. This means jobs lost in those other industries. Furthermore, it's an injustice. The law is forcing some citizens to pay more to benefit a specific industry. Protectionism doesn't create national wealth, merely redistributes it, often inefficiently, and at the cost of consumer choice and overall economic well-being. 7. Machines. This section addresses the fear that machines destroy jobs. The seen effect of a new machine is the workers it displaces. When self-checkout kiosks are installed in a grocery store, the seen is the reduction in cashier jobs. This can understandably cause anxiety. However, the unseen is the money saved by the store, less labor cost, which can then be used in several ways. The store might lower prices, benefiting consumers who now have more disposable income. This extra income can be spent on other goods and services, stimulating other industries and creating new jobs. Alternatively, the store might invest in new technologies, expand its operations, or improve services, creating different types of jobs. Bastiat argues that machines don't destroy work. They free up resources and labor to create new satisfactions and industries. This process ultimately leads to increased national prosperity and higher standards of living. 8. Credit. Bastiat examines the concept of credit and the idea of universalizing wealth through universalizing credit. The seen effect of government-backed loans or credit initiatives is that more people can access funds to buy goods, like a farmer getting a loan for a new cart. Consider government-sponsored loan programs for small businesses or students. The seen is that more individuals or businesses who might not otherwise qualify receive funds. The unseen is that credit doesn't create new resources. It merely shifts existing ones. If the government guarantees a loan to a less reliable borrower, that capital is then unavailable to a more reliable borrower who might have used it more productively. This can lead to misallocation of resources, higher interest rates for everyone, and the burden of potential defaults falling on taxpayers. Credit is a tool for facilitating exchange, but it cannot miraculously increase the total amount of available goods or capital. 9. Saving and luxury. Bastiat tackles the age-old debate about the merits of saving versus luxury spending. The popular notion the scene is that luxury spending stimulates the economy, while saving dries up the veins of the people. He introduces two characters, Don Minervo, the prodigal spender, and Don Aristides, the saver. Don Minervo's lavish spending is highly visible. Consider a celebrity who spends millions on designer clothes, luxury cars, and extravagant parties. The scene is the immediate boost to the fashion industry, car manufacturers, and event planners. Many might praise them for circulating money. Now, imagine someone who earns a similar income but lives modestly, invests in stocks, bonds, or a new business. Their spending is unseen in comparison. Bastiat argues that while Don Minervo's spending is immediately visible, it ultimately leads to his ruin and an end to his economic contributions. Don Aristides, the saver, however, is continuously putting his money to work, albeit in less visible ways. When he saves, he might deposit money in a bank, which then lends it to businesses for expansion, or he might invest directly in companies, leading to innovation, increased production, and new jobs. His savings become capital that fuels long-term economic growth and ultimately increases the demand for labor and wages over time. Bastiat concludes that saving is not only morally superior, but also economically more beneficial in the long run than luxury spending. Because to save is to spend, it simply directs funds to productive investment rather than immediate consumption. 10. Right to work, right to profit. This final section addresses the right to work and right to profit movements, which Bastiat sees as different degrees of socialism. The scene is the work or profit guaranteed by social contributions or taxes. Think about government programs that guarantee employment or provide subsidies to struggling industries. The scene is that people have jobs or businesses stay afloat. Unseen is that the money to fund these guarantees comes from taxpayers, who are then prevented from using that money to create their own work or profit. Bastiat cites the example of national workshops in 1848, which provided guaranteed work, but were funded by a 45-centime tax. While the workshop employees had jobs, the scene, farmers and others had less money, meaning they couldn't afford clothes, improve their fields, or repair their homes, the unseen, leading to less work for tailors, laborers, and carpenters. This demonstrates that guaranteed work or profit, when funded by forced contributions, doesn't create new wealth, but simply reallocates existing wealth, often inefficiently and unfairly. In conclusion, the essay of Bastiat is a call to deeper understanding. Frédéric Bastiat's What is Seen and What is Unseen is more than just an economic treatise. It's a powerful framework for critical thinking. In a world saturated with information and quick-hit solutions, his core message to always look beyond the immediate and visible consequences of actions is more vital than ever. Bastiat concludes that saving is not only morally superior, but also economically more beneficial in the long run than luxury spending. To save is to spend. It simply directs funds to productive investment rather than immediate consumption. By applying Bastiat's principles, we can become more discerning consumers, more responsible citizens, and more effective leaders. We can avoid being swayed by appealing, but ultimately flawed arguments that only consider half the picture. The next time you encounter a new policy proposal, a business decision, or even a personal choice, ask yourself, what is seen? And more importantly, what is unseen? By cultivating this habit of comprehensive foresight, you'll be empowered to make choices that truly lead to progress, prosperity, and a better future for yourself and for society. Let Bastiat's wisdom inspire you to look deeper, think clearer, and build a world where the unseen consequences are always brought to light.